Oh shit! I'm out of sparkling water. Hold on. I can't proceed. Hi, Dustin. How's your weekend?
It's good. Yeah, man. It's always a good weekend when you spend it at the movies.
Yeah, man. The Neighbors I always talked about on this show.
Mm-hmm.
So they finally moved away yesterday.
Oh.
Went to their next port of call in coastal West Virginia.
Okay.
No, it's landlocked. I guess maybe he's working in Maryland. I don't know. Anyway, their dad's in the Coast Guard, and I was like, oh, West Virginia, and I'm looking at it on a map, and it's like, where's the water? So
no water.
I mean, there's like lakes and stuff, but I don't think they need Coast Guards on the lakes.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they're moving, and that was a whole thing. So
okay.
Yeah. So that finally,
are they selling the place, or is it?
It's
sold?
For rent.
It's for rent. Okay.
Yeah, they're renting it out. But yeah, we finally, they lived here for 2 years, and they were great neighbors and really great friends to my kids. And so it was a big deal. So my daughter was, there was a lot of tears among everybody. And so I went and said goodbye to them, and the husband, who I'd literally met the second time meeting him, was me telling him bye. And then they gave me all their leftover food. Like he came back out and he was like, do you want some ribs? And like he had like a handful, like frozen ribs, frozen like shrimp, eggs, a bunch of cream cheese, and some butter. And I was like, hey, I'm out of butter. This is perfect. And
that works.
Yeah. So now I've got a full stock of butter. So,
I'm out of butter and I'm out of ribs. So this works great.
It's the end of an era here. So while I am happy that no one is going to knock on the door as soon as I fall asleep in my nap time, always happened every single day without fail. I settle in, I finally get asleep, tap, 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 tap. And there's a kid at my door.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's not going to happen for a while, but the trade-off is no friends around. So,
and it's also like an unknown, right? Like who's going to move in? They could be great. Right. They could be meth dealers.
The consensus around here, at least in my old neighborhood, was that no one liked the renters, no matter who they were. All the owners were like, it was like a Sharks and the Jets kind of thing. It was just like, oh, well, of course it's those goddamn renters.
Those renters,
those
get them out of here.
Because usually it's like renters are like, it's not a family renting the house. It's like 4 dudes.
Young.
And, And they park on the front lawn, and, they're loud, and they don't take their trash cans back in on time, and all this stuff. But Godspeed to them. They were good neighbors, and
maybe you'll get a nice Flanders. Hey diddly ho, neighbor, no.
Oh God!
What if you end up with what's his name from Home Improvement? The guy who's like, you only saw half his face. What was his name? I
was gonna say Wilson, but it's not.
Wilson. That's it.
It is Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, it's Wilson. Yeah.
Oh, it's just Wilson.
Just Wilson. Yeah.
God, Castaway, Home Improvement, Dennis the Menace. Too many Wilsons.
That's a name you don't hear anymore.
Yeah, I guess so. Patrick
How many
Wilson.
Wilsons do you know?
I know a couple Wilsons.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know any Wilsons. I know.
Anecdotally, your theory is shot for me.
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, that's a perfect transition into Superman. No, it's not.
Is it?
Nope.
Okay.
But here we go.
How many
anyway.
Loises do you know?
I know 0 Loises.
Same.
Yes.
Not a single Lois.
Or a Clark. I don't think I know a Clark either.
I know a Clark.
You do?
I know a couple Clarks. Yeah, but I don't know any Loises.
Do you know a Perry?
I don't know a Perry. Do you know a Jimmy? Like an honest Jimmy? Not a James. Do you know a Jimmy?
No.
Do you know a Lex? All of these names that sound so normal, and then we find out they're so not.
I knew one Lex.
Like an actual Lex. Not
Everyone
Alex.
called him Lex. Yeah, not Alex. Okay. Everyone called him Lex.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Well, there you go, everybody. We've set the stage beautifully. All right. let's talk about Superman.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah.
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
Sure.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some
it's
might.
A lot of fire,
it's a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny?
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of the United States will
representing anybody
cause more
except for me.
problems around the world.
And doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die. Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Your choices. Your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
Superman. He's not a man. He's an it. He's somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation. I will not accept that.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
Which is no longer Superman Legacy, which is just one of those things that I didn't really think about until later. And I was like, what, didn't this have a different name?
Yep. It did.
But of course that would imply looking back. And a lot of this film is about,
looking forward. So, all right. Yep.
Superman, the 2025 iteration is written and directed by James Gunn, produced by him, Peter Safran, the co-heads and co-CEOs of the newly christened DC Studios. And it stars David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, Edie Gathegi, Anthony Carrigan, Nathan Fillion, and Isabella Merced in this movie as well. This is a reboot of the DC's film continuity with their comic book characters, as anyone who clicked on this episode surely knows. So that's the movie. And so this wasn't technically, as we've talked about, this isn't technically the first step into this universe. Creature Commandos was, but this is the first film foray,
first feature film,
which is the right move,
Sure. Yeah.
Film wise. You should have done it before the show, but that's, that's cool. Yeah. The movie is essentially exploring the relationship of Clark Kent and Lois Lane and the early stages of their romantic relationship, and also his relationship with public perception of his actions and other superheroes who also exist. And of course, the antagonist here is Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult, and he has a big plan, as always, to either kill Superman, discredit Superman, get rid of Superman, imprison Superman. He's always doing something to Superman.
All of the above.
Right. And if he can do all of them at once, perfect. But he'll take any of them as they service the next time he needs to do something to Superman. So he's doing Lex Luthor things in this movie. All right, so here's my thoughts for this one. So I'm going to say I liked this movie. I didn't love it, and I only say I didn't love it because nothing in the film especially spoke to me, like, or made me feel something, which is just something I require for a film to reach beyond the mid-tier. I more see it as what I consider to be a really solid execution of what I believe to be the better tone for a Superman movie, which is light, pure, fun, some humor, weird, and heartfelt, especially with the easy comparison to Man of Steel, Justice League, the recent Zack Snyder DCEU stuff, which has its fan base, kind of like cannibalism does too.
Sure.
But it is a tone that has been widely rejected by the studio itself, which should be enough for anyone. And by most people who read the comics. So does this mean that the DCU is going to execute consistently or on Marvel's level? No, this doesn't prove that in and of itself, but it's given itself a good start. I think certainly a better start than
Man of Steel
to make something. Than Man of Steel to make something that sort of can rise to the expectations of superhero movies without dipping the characters in morose god complexes. My biggest bump for this movie is also the movie's strength, which is the strange narrative structure that it has. I understand why they did it. It's fine. And honestly, it will probably make the film a lot more fun on rewatches. What I'm referring to is essentially the movie not being an origin story, and the movie being somewhat in medias res. Like we meet Superman at the beginning after his first defeat, and all the exposition is given in title cards before that. Whereas people may have expected, we might see Clark, fall to earth and be raised by the Kents and become Superman. It's like, nope, none of that. But the more I think about it, the more I'm fine with it because, it skips all of the building and origins and just get on with it. Which is both more exciting for modern viewers of these characters who have seen multiple origin stories. It's kind of like with Spider-Man. It's like, we don't need to do another origin story. People know, modern audiences know who this character is. It's had enough exposure. And it's both more exciting for modern viewers and also for the franchise goals of DC Studios, which I'll talk about later. But to wrap up and reference my last comment, yes, I would see this film again. So I certainly recommend it in theaters, especially if you are curious. And maybe we can talk about the review bombing and stuff later, but
sure.
It's a perfectly good film. There's nothing, I don't see anything woke about. Well, we'll talk about it later. We
can talk about that.
Silly. Anyways, Dustin, what about you? This matters to me. What you think?
All right. So I want to say two things. First of all, anybody who listens to the podcast knows I'm a huge fan of Superman. I like Batman and Superman are my favorite characters, depending on the day. I don't know which I like more. But Superman has my heartstrings more than Batman does. So there's that. I wrote notes for this review. I'm really sorry because they're long and lengthy and we can get to them in a minute. But what I want to say most is I predicted that I would come out of this film thinking this is 4.5 stars and be super jazzed. And then in a week or two, it would fall down to like a 3.5. What actually happened is I walked out of the theater thinking it was a 3.5 and trying to convince myself it was a 4. It's not a 4. It's a 3.5. I think the film is fine. It's good, but I have some issues. The issues are not, now, to be fair, some of these issues are this version does not match up to my ideal version of Superman. And that's really hard to divorce myself from those feelings. When I've thought about this character, I've ingested countless hours of content for this character. It's really hard to then divorce yourself from all that you know. And say, this version is the new norm because there are going to be elements that work better for you and some that work worse. And the thing is, like, you can compare this to anything, right? Anytime anybody's like, the book is better than the movie.
Yep.
That's the feeling I'm feeling, which is you've imagined something, you've pictured it, you've lived with the story for so much time that even small changes can have a big effect in your mind, because that doesn't feel like what you want it to feel like. And is it the film's fault? Not really. Like, the film can be judged as a film separate from, but it cannot be enjoyed separate from. So to that, I mean, I found myself not super enjoying the film. About halfway through, I recognized I don't think I'm actually enjoying this. Is it a well-made movie? Sure. I can acknowledge that, but I can't acknowledge the fact that I felt disconnected. And that's a problem. So I'm going to say it's 3.5 stars because I'm splitting the difference. It's a well-made movie. I'm not saying it's not my Superman. I'm saying it's not my Superman. It's not. David Cornsweet does a fine job. He is a good Superman. Yeah. I'm not knocking him. I'm knocking Superman, the film, the adaptation. It is not my Superman, not my Superman world. Right. But I do want to go ahead and call out, I think David Cornsweet is a really great Superman, even if I don't agree with all the ways that he's written. I think Rachel Brosnahan is a great Lois Lane, even if I don't think she was utilized properly. Nicholas Hoult, I think, could have been a great Lex Luthor, but I didn't really care for Lex Luthor in this film. I think that there are a lot of elements in here that I love, right? Like, I genuinely love David Cornsweet. I don't necessarily love the way he's written all the time, but I love him, his look, the way he carries himself, the way he embodies both Clark and Superman. I enjoy that. Same with Lois Lane, and their chemistry is great. There's a lot to love, and there's a lot of pieces about this film that I really enjoy. I enjoy that they use John Williams' score. I enjoy, some of the, like, you mentioned, like, the narrative structure starting in the middle. I don't mind that. We can talk a little bit more about it in a minute, but I don't inherently hate that idea. And I like the idea, or the fact that, like, the film seems to be compiled as if you've picked up like 4 random issues of comic books and are reading them back to back. So, like, oh, here's the issue with the giant kaiju, and here's the issue with, and so that's a decent structure that you almost have like a set piece grounding a vignette of this thing. And from what I understand, there were initially title cards in the film that said, like, day 1. And then there was like a section, and then day 2, and then another section, day 3, or there was some sort of like delineation between these vignettes. And you can tell where those cuts would have been, but the cards were removed. And in another way of thinking is like issues. You're reading an issue of a book. That structure is actually kind of cool. So there are certainly things here that I enjoy. There are moments and little nods and little things that I'm like, that's cool. Love that. Like, I thought we were in for something really special when in the beginning, Clark is in the Fortress of Solitude. All the sun is beating down on him, and he's like, recovering from the fight. After he recovers, he like rolls off the table and goes, golly. And I'm like, yeah, that feels like Superman, and like, cool. Like, Krypto's in this. I love the inclusion of Krypto. There's a lot here that I like, but the sum of its parts do not equal the quality of all of it together. And so you've got these pieces that all work, but it didn't coalesce for me into something that was new or exciting. We can talk about this more in a little bit, and we should, that this film doesn't offer me, as a very initiated Superman fan, anything new. There's nothing that I have not already seen, and that's a problem. Likewise, I think for people who are less initiated or completely uninitiated, I think they're going to have a hard time with this. You don't get a good sense of who Superman is or what his origin story is. And that can be okay as long as there's some coverage of something. And I think that for him, it works. But for Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern, if you don't know anything about the Green Lanterns, you're not going to learn it here. And so, I remember years ago reading a book. It was like a random comic, and I picked it off the shelves, and it looked cool, and I was reading it, and I kind of enjoyed it. And I was talking to one of my friends, and he had pulled the same issue, and again, it looked really cool. And so he pulled the issue, and he came to me and said, like, "What did you think?" And I said, "I liked it." And he said, "I don't understand anything that just happened." And he said, because he had never read any of the comics, so he picked this up and was like, "I don't know who these characters are." He said, "When I picked up, it was a Superman book." He said, "When I pick up a Superman book, I want to read Superman. Why is in that case it was Captain Atom was in this." And he's like, who is Captain Atom? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So there's some homework to do.
I felt that way when I read Civil War. I was like, oh, I know Spider-Man, Iron Man. And then after a while I was like, who are these people?
Right.
You can't just casually pick up any comic book and just drop yourself in. It's really it's a very, very serial medium.
There's a reason why like every 10 years or so, there's like some big reset. It's because they're like, oh, people don't know anymore. And like a new generation is aged into reading comics and they need context. And so let's reboot it. Let's reset it. And so in here, like starting your movie mid story, more or less, is okay for someone like Superman, but for someone like Green Lantern, it doesn't work. For Hawkgirl, like I don't know if we ever even learn which version of Hawkgirl this is. There's the Kendra Saunders version and the Shira Hall.
It says Kendra Saunders on Wikipedia, but we never hear her name spoken, I don't think.
I had to Google it. I was like, which version? I noticed she took her wings off, and I'm like, so this must be Kendra because I think Shiras are biological.
Okay.
So I'm like, so it must be Kendra, but like, if I didn't know that, you know what I mean? Like if I were just a complete, newbie and I'm sitting in the audience and I see, oh, who is this person with no wings and no mask? What is this? And they're like, oh, that's Hawkgirl. Oh, well, where's the hawk? I just see girl. So I think for characters like that definitely need some help. You're not going to get it. Like, did you know anything about Mr. Terrific going in?
No.
What do you know about him now?
He's very precise, that guy.
Yeah.
So you
know what he did in the plot, but you don't know.
I don't know anything about him.
You don't know anything about him.
No.
And this is terrific. A problem. This is a problem. Yeah. So I think that there are certainly things that work well, and then there are a lot of things that don't. So for me, I've spent the better part of a week trying to convince myself that this is a 4-star film, and it just isn't. And here's kind of where I realized it. I realized it today. Today, I was at work and we were testing some content, and anyway, I went to HBO Max and was like, clicking around and different aspect ratio things and trying to test aspect ratios and stuff. And I saw advertised to me because of Superman, Superman and Lois. And I was like, oh, I know that this is filmed in a odd aspect ratio. Let me watch this. So I clicked on the pilot episode of Superman and Lois, which I reviewed recently on the show. Yes. Very good.
Yeah. We dropped that episode like a couple weeks ago, finally. So
if you want to listen to it, go listen to it. Yeah. I recommend it. And so I found myself caught up and I watched like the first half hour of the show, and I got choked up twice, and I didn't get choked up at all in this film.
Right.
And I'm like, again, I said Superman has my heartstrings. Like, it's very easy to make me feel something with Superman. And like, I feel things with Superman, like in animation all the time. Why did this live action movie not make me feel anything? And so when I realized that today, like that 30 minutes out of context of this show that admittedly I like, it really, really impacted me. And the movie that I saw that was much higher budget than this series I'm watching.
Yeah.
Should have made me feel something and didn't. So that's where I'm at. 3.5 stars is about all I can give this film. I really wish I liked it better, but I will say I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I just don't love it, and it didn't offer me anything new. And I think that's sort of what I spend some time just going, I want for a reboot, I want Superman to be new. Like, we've had a lot of versions of Superman on screen.
Yeah.
But they've all done kind of the exact same thing. It's always been Lex Luthor or General Zod.
Mm.
I need something new. And to that end, I also need Lex Luthor to be about something other than what he's about in this film. And we'll get more into that in a minute. Mm. And so I think that there is a staleness to what we're seeing on the big screen for Superman, and I really want to see something new. So that's the non-spoiler section of my review for Superman. But I do have some of these things that I want to get into and pick your brain about, ask you about.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm not overanalyzing, because I don't want to overanalyze it. I want to just enjoy it. But this is also the key, right? Like, I've got a ton of Superman Blu-rays over here, Superman cartoons over here. I don't have to overanalyze any of these other things.
Yeah.
So what's going on here?
Yeah. And I think it's also just going to depend on who the audience is. If you, like, I took my 11-year-old daughter with me to this. And so this is the first Superman film she's ever seen.
Sure.
So for her, I mean, she knows stuff about Superman just from the zeitgeist. Perfectly good movie, looks great, and it's up to her expectations of what a big budget film should look like, you know?
Yeah.
So of course, kids are going to love it just because it's a fun movie that looks good and stars a character that they recognize. But then you move up, and then you get to people who have seen the Zack Snyder stuff. You move up further than that. You've got people who've watched the animated series or Justice League. And the further back you go, the more and more people have seen, you know, Superman, and they've seen all the Richard Donner movies, like, or, you know, the Christopher Reeve films.
Yep.
Yeah. And then of course you get back to, you know, comic people. And so it's everyone's got a perspective on this. And it's just one of those things that's inherently hard about putting out a new version of something so recognizable. Is you've got all the history of what's before it that you are sort of trying to go a different way with, but you also have the expectations that it needs to be familiar to people who haven't seen those things.
Yep.
And it's a tough line to walk. And,
it is.
You know, I do think it's worth seeing in theaters just strictly for just beginning at the baseline for entertainment value. I don't think the film's boring. I don't think, you know, it's not going to, I don't think the average viewer is going to dislike this movie. But yes, if you know more about the character, or you have a vision, like you said, of what he should be and how it should be executed, like with any adaptation, you're likely going to bump up against some stuff because this is what James Gunn thinks Superman should be like. And the other 8 billion of us are not James Gunn. So it's probably not going to be what most of us want it to be, unless we are sycophantic douchebags.
Sure.
3.5 would be where I put it too, you know, for more of just like, oh, great. Like, this cleared the bar for me. It's like, this is great, you know, but it's not one of the best superhero movies ever made or anything. Like, I showed my kids Spider-Man 2 over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I explained to them, I was like, I think this is one of the best superhero films ever made.
Yes.
And I explained why. And it's just like, to make movies like that 20 years later, it's like, this is, you know, for a lot of people, Richard Donner's Superman is one of the best superhero films ever made.
Yep.
And there are reasons for that. And it's not just, it was the first big one. It was like for a bunch of reasons, you know?
Yep.
So
I still would advocate for that.
Yeah.
Is it the most exciting? No. But is the Richard Donner film cinema in a way that a lot of other superhero movies aren't? Yes.
Well, let's talk about spoilers then.
Okay.
I want to get to your bullet points, and I'll talk business stuff at the end. But Yeah. What do you got?
So I wanted to start with Superman, but I actually think I want to start instead with theme. So this is kind of what stuck out to me the most as I'm walking away is I feel like the theme, there's either multiple themes explored and none to a good degree, or the theme itself is confused on what it is, because it feels like multiple themes to me. So firstly, you have like this idea of like, am I who my parents wanted me to be, or should I be my own person?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. Cause you have the Kryptonian heritage, Jor-El and Lara, who are telling him like, we sent you to Earth to conquer, which is like the big revelation in here, which I guess a lot of people either really like or really don't like. I don't care. It doesn't make any difference to me. I think if you're going like the Jesus route, then obviously Jor-El and Lara need to be, you know, benevolent.
People. Yeah. But if you're going the Goku route, then it's like, like we want you to rule this planet.
Yeah, exactly.
We sent you to the planet not where you could do the most good, where you had the most physical advantage over the native population.
Correct. That is absolutely correct.
Where you'd have the easiest time ruling them.
Correct. And I feel like it doesn't matter to me because like, yes, he can't get like good advice from, you know, Jor-El's AI or whatever.
Right.
But he has Pa Kent in this version, right?
Yes.
He doesn't need that. And so he's always been more the child of the Kents than the child of El. So I don't have a problem with that. But that seems to be the big like moral quandary of like, what are you? What makes you you?
Yeah.
And Pa Kent like sits him down and is like, what's the choices, son?
Yeah.
The choices that you make are the things that make you you. Like, okay, well, that's great. But then like kind of at the end, he lectures Lex, who's like, you're not human. And he's like, I am human because I put one foot in front of the other and put my pants on one leg at a time. And I make mistakes and I poop and whatever else that he tells him. And he's like, so he's human. And I'm like, but that doesn't really have anything to do with choice. So now we're talking about biology,
right? Or
like what makes humans human.
Right.
And I feel like that theme doesn't really work.
It's loosely connected to the theme of being your own person. It's like being human is making choices almost. Yeah. But it's not quite.
It's too loose.
It's not quite there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
loose
too,
like Superman's human poop.
And then so like I wrote this here. Like there's also like the statement he's trying to make about the media and the way that it has a sway on the public consciousness that's, you know, whatever. Unless there's like this media angle, which I guess makes sense if you're talking about like, you know, the Daily Planet, but the Daily Planet doesn't really feature in this very much. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. But like, it's all the, like the news stations and stuff that are actually, it's all TV that's advocating for this, and like the monkeys on the internet that are doing the thing. And so like, that's how, so I don't know. He's trying to say something about the media. There's like Israel and Palestine stuff going on in here.
That's pretty big.
If the idea was like, you're choosing or you're human or whatever the case may be, Lois also could have fed into that a little bit with her conversation with him about what's punk rock and like, it's, you know, punk rock to be kind or whatever it is. It's like with that theme, I think with that scene, it could have fed the theme better if Lois had acknowledged a mistake that she had made, a choice that she had made to like be harsh on Clark earlier in the film or whatever. And like, you know, Clark was able to still, and we'll get into this in a minute, but like Clark was able to still be kind to her, even though she was kind of unkind to him. Like because she made a mistake, and I'm human. I make mistakes too. You know, I don't know. Like there's things you could do, but like none of it really feels like it gels. It's just like the darts on a dartboard. It's like some of them get close, but none of them are quite there. So I don't know. I think the theme is confused. And for that reason, it makes it feel like the movie actually doesn't have anything to say. Again, that's like one of the easiest ways to make me feel something about this character is in the theme.
Yeah.
And if the theme had been like, what makes a human human, then okay, sure. Although again, that's kind of a theme that's been explored with Superman a lot of times before. Or if the theme is it's the choices that make you who you are, again, it's a theme that's been explored in Superman and Spider-Man and every other superhero forever. So again, that's not new or novel. So I wish there was like a theme here that was a little more unique to this film. So I don't know. I think the theme is confused and it isn't new.
Are we also just are we just old, like aging movie guys and we've seen all the themes? Or are the
Possibly.
themes, you know what I mean? Like, or like, are we just going around the mulberry bush? Like, here's this stick again.
It is possible, but I do think that with this character, like, because the character exists in a way to like be an aspirational moral figure, you can find a moral as a writer that the world needs right now and give it to Superman in terms of like, you know, then feed it into whoever the villain is and build the conflict around the moral quandary. Yeah. And then we as lay people, not super people, we get to be inspired to aspire to whatever the, you know, the theme is, right? If it's like, hey, we need compassion. Okay, cool. If compassion is the theme, which is not necessarily a theme I've seen in film or film or TV for Superman. Like if the whole thing was built around compassion, right? Okay, maybe we have something there, but like just pick something and be like, the world needs more of this. Let me give it to Superman. Yeah. And so I think there may be something to your point, but I also think you could find a way.
Well, yeah, there's also, it's like my point stands, but it's also like, but it's your job as a writer to
but it's
figure,
your job.
Yeah. Like I understand if most people can't figure out those themes, but your whole job is to fixate on something that would resonate with an audience. And, that's your function.
and I would absolutely forgive something that's been done before if they did it well. Right. Like Batman Begins was done really well, but the theme was, you know, overcoming fear. Well, I've seen that a million times, but it does it well. You know, I'm going to become the thing that I fear. Right. Yeah. Or Spider-Man 2, you mentioned it earlier, like all the Spider-Man movies basically have the same theme. It's fine if you do it well. So, you know, I think that there's a case to be made that maybe we've seen them all, but just do it well. Just pick one and do it well. But then like Superman himself, again, love David Cornsweet as Superman, but I think he's written inconsistently because you have that immediate like, golly, you know, when he comes off the thing and I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. But then like he spends a fair amount of the film actually kind of like scowly and like unconfident, you know? And I'm like, okay, so I'm not quite sure why he's not confident. I think there's a missed arc here because like, had he been super confident and then he loses his first battle and the whole film was him building up his confidence again because he's shaken because he just lost for the first time, that's a story. Yeah. But he lost his first battle and then like that doesn't play into any emotional or mental arc for him, right? Like you would think if you are Superman and you've never lost before and everything's been perfect and peachy keen for you. I mean, your dad still hasn't even died, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like most versions of Superman have lost their dad by now. Yeah. Like you're living the high life. And now suddenly at 32 years old or whatever, you lose your first battle and you're dying, you're bleeding out in the Arctic. Does that not have any kind of like emotional stakes? Yeah. Like the idea of him, this feels weird too for Superman, but you know, you can build a story around it. Why not? That now he's scared. Yeah. Like now he's afraid of fighting again. Yeah. Like I've never felt pain before and I just felt pain.
He's never had to confront his mortality.
Yeah. I don't want to feel pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like imagine you making it to this age, never having felt pain ever. And then you feel pain for the first time. Yeah. That's going to suck.
Yeah. It's scary.
There's a reason we start feeling pain the instant we're born. It's because we have to ease into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it feels like a missed opportunity, but whatever. Authority. So this is a younger Superman. It's year 3 Superman. I think you could argue that by year 3 he should have authority, but okay, we're gonna just say he's young and whatever. Yeah. Inexperienced, maybe, whatever. It's his first loss. Sure. It seems to me like, again, my interpretation of Superman is a little more father figure-y. Like there's a fantastic moment in All-Star Superman where there's like a girl who's on the edge of a building. She's going to jump and, unalive herself. And Superman, instead of like waiting for her to jump, catching her and putting her back up, he goes up to the top, like the rooftop with her, and just sits with her and goes, you're stronger than you think you are. It's a very fatherly thing to do. It's let me just talk to you for a minute and try to help you through this tough time, whatever it is you're feeling. There's this feeling that I have when I watch anything with Justice League Unlimited, Justice League, the animated series, or read the Justice League comics. They're like, every other superhero looks up to Superman. They all ask themselves like, well, what would Superman do? And like when Superman comes down on you and goes, why did you do that? You feel like so small. It's dad saying, I'm disappointed in you. Yeah. And everyone feels that. Even Green Arrow, who like butts heads with Superman, respects him at the end of the day and doesn't want to disappoint him. Like that's there's a respect and an authority that Superman holds that this Superman lacks. Again, I know we're early, but what I would expect, even in early Superman, is to see shades of that. And I didn't see it. And I should have seen it, especially with the Justice Gang. They seem to, like when they were first introduced, and we'll talk more about them in a minute. When they were first introduced, I was unclear as to whether this was the first time Superman had ever seen them. Right. Because he's trying to save the kaiju. Like, let me see if I can, like subdue him, but not kill him. Yeah. But then they're there to like, kill him.
They're there to neutralize it.
Yeah. And so he's like at odds with them. And I'm like, does he know who they are? Do they know each other? I don't know. And then it becomes clear later on that like they know he's Clark Kent. And so like, there's they know each other, but I don't know what that relationship is. If it had been that like, Superman goes missing and they're all like, jump to it. Even Guy Gardner, who's a jerk, is like respecting Superman, like, or if there's a moment where Guy has like just some moment of like, should I kill this criminal or not? And then there's a moment of like, Superman wouldn't want me to do this, right? If there's something, just some shade of like somebody's got respect for this man, or of Superman like standing firm in a moral moment, which is what I always look for in Superman, is like, I don't care if he gets his butt beat in a fight. I want him to be like, I know what's right and I know what's wrong, and I'm standing firm in it. He does this with Lois when she's interviewing him, but it feels more aggressive than authoritative, or rather defensive. Defensive. It feels more defensive than authoritative. Now, had he been calm as a cucumber and just said like, Lois, I know what's right, and I'd do it again. Yeah. Right? If it had felt like that, it would have felt different to me. Yeah. Even just once.
And I think, like, I mean, the distinction, of course, between the Justice Gang and him being that, like, since he's such a individual and unsanctioned, metahuman. Yeah. Whereas the Justice Gang has essentially agreed to work for the government, and actually like represent like U.S. interests or whatever. I believe it's the U.S.
I think they're owned by Maxwell Lord, who I think is just another like billionaire. So it feels more capitalistic, but
sure. Okay. Yeah. They should have had like matching jackets or something.
They do.
So they do?
Yeah. They all have the same emblem.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Which is also confusing because it's the JG, even though throughout the film, they're like, that's not our name. And I'm like, well, that's what your emblem says.
Yeah. You should have just said Maxwell Lord.
Yeah, right.
Maxwell Lord rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, and I guess it's just in this interpretation, him gaining that authority almost like he has the clearer morals, but now he's doubting that it's the right choice. But the doubt sort of just comes from being beaten in a fight versus like the doubt being like, should I have made this choice?
Yeah.
And which is not quite connected. Like I wouldn't make that connection if I were him. I'd be like, well, I lost the fight because this thing is strong, not because I'm wrong,
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Like 3 years in, I one thing that does happen at the at the end of Man of Steel is that Superman goes to like the tanks or whatever, the general, and he's like, I'm not going to let this happen. Yeah, and it's right away. It's like, okay, I'm Superman. Here's
the
how it's going to be.
The government's not going to treat me this way.
The government's not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I think is right. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's a credible reason for Lex Luthor to hate him, because Luthor can credibly, and there's a little bit of this in this film where he's like, this guy's a major liability. And so he can kind of lobby to get government and financial support for his plans to eliminate Superman. And so it's like Luthor represents, whether he genuinely believes it or not, the interest of putting Superman in check. But yeah, the Justice Gang, I definitely got the vibe that they knew each other. I never obviously got the vibe that he had any authority over them. And I think just because as soon as they were like, we're here on the behalf of whoever, or the news or some exposition thing was like, they're the official sanctioned hero response team. Then I was like, oh, of course they're not going to listen to Clark. Clark's didn't sign the papers. He's not on the team.
Right. I would have loved at the end for there to have been a moment where the Justice Gang finally listens to him as a leader. Like even Guy, who's sort of the self-proclaimed leader of the Justice Gang. Yeah. Like if they were in a pickle and Superman's like, nope, that's not what we do. Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, or even like, gives them a specific command and they do it, that maybe is against what Maxwell Lord's interests were, something that shows that they're willing to follow him. I think would have been a really great like trajectory for the Superman character. 'Cause by the end of this, I'm still not sure that he's grown into that leadership role.
Yeah.
He may be more confident in and of himself, but I don't have any indication that the other metahumans or really that the general public is on his side. Because again, Luthor's discovery, what the Kryptonian, message says is true. Yeah. And there's nothing that happens in this film. Like I kept waiting for Superman to appear on camera on a talk show or like straight to the camera at the scene of, like massive damage and the news team is there. And Superman's like, hey, listen, there's been a lot said about me in the news lately. It's true. My parents sent me here to conquer. I'm not interested in that. Yeah. I grew up here. This is my home. Yeah. And then he wins everybody back over. But as it is, it's yes, Luthor is discredited, but the message isn't discredited. Right. And Superman does nothing in the film to like assuage the fears of the people. Yeah. So again, like that kind of like authority and command is what I was looking for from Superman. And this Superman feels a little more boyish and a little more like unconfident, and that's totally fine. But again, like I wish at the end of the first film, I felt more like he was a mature leader or a matured leader. If we compare to like the Batman, which isn't my favorite Batman movie by any stretch. But if we compare it to The Batman, there's this moment where like, you know, Bruce is vengeance. He's in the darkness. He's whatever. But then by the end, he's like helping kids out of, you know,
flood zone.
Out of the flooding zone. Yeah. And like, there's this moment of like, oh, maybe he actually stands for something more.
Yeah.
And so it's a moment where that character has seen himself one way and then almost surprises himself by being something different.
Yeah.
I would have loved something similar here. Superman's questioning at the beginning who he is because of what his parents sent him to do. And by the end, yes, he's watching home movies of his Earth parents. But like, I never really even got the impression that he like took them for granted. So that moment was kind of didn't land as heavy as I think it for me as it did for some people.
Sure.
Because it didn't feel like this was like a huge turning point. Like I feel like he'd always, appreciated them. If it had felt like, oh yeah, he's been taking them for granted, like they called him and he didn't answer because he's like, yeah, that's just Ma Kent, who cares?
Yeah.
But then like later he accepts them as his true parents. It feels weird that it would happen this late in life, but whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it feels to me like, there just should have been some sort of arc where he surprises himself with what he's able to grow into. So anyway, that's that. But my other point for Superman, which leads into Lois, is I love the chemistry that Rachel Brosnahan and David Cornsweet have. Mm-hmm. And I love those two characters together. And again, I've recently watched Superman and Lois, which is all about their marriage. So now I'm coming back to this, like they've been dating for 3 months.
Yeah.
There's undoubtedly going to be some drama. I get that. Totally understood. I think it's a weird choice to do it the way they did it because they spent almost the entirety of the film in conflict. And only at the end of the film did they seem to move past the conflict. Mm-hmm. But even then, it wasn't because the conflict had been resolved. It felt more like, I'm kissing you now because you saved the day. Mm-hmm. Not because you've proved me wrong in my worst fears about you in some way. Maybe I'm reading it wrong or not seeing something, but her whole point was like, you tortured, the leader of another country. You went, and like, essentially you represented the United States of America, whether you wanted to or you didn't. And you did this unilaterally. You took another country's, affairs into your hands. Mm-hmm. And she's calling him to task for that. By the end, he doesn't say, Lois, you're right. I shouldn't have done that. That's not who I am. He doesn't own that. He doesn't learn from it. He doesn't move on from it. In fact, the film never really tackles that again to me. Am I missing something? Am I misremembering something?
No, I mean, because and he doesn't even go there at the end, when the conflict is happening, like the Justice Gang shows up instead. So I don't even know that much is, it's more of like that action having happened off screen is sets the stage for public sentiment towards Superman and and that backlash being a big part of him making or not making decisions for the rest of the movie.
So I just question that reconciliation because I don't know that the conflict, like they bottled up the conflict. They didn't move forward through it.
Yeah.
Or even if she had like ribbed him at the end, still like, I still don't think you should have done what you did. And he's like, oh, come on, I just saved the day and you're still on me about this. Like if it had been playful banter or whatever, like, sure, we'll talk about it later, Lois, whatever. If it like that would have been something, but they just gloss right over it. And, but I think there's actually a better way to go about this, which leads me into Lois's character. Mm-hmm. So I love the way Lois is written in this film. I don't think she's utilized properly because like halfway through the film, she just kind of becomes the chauffeur or like whatever. But but I think that, I have no issues with the way she's written. I would add one thing. So there's that in that moment, it's one of the better scenes in the film where they're arguing. She's calling him to task. It's, the interview. In the interview, she like they both get angry. She stands up and says, I knew this wasn't going to work, and like goes to the sink and her back's to him. And he like almost wants to approach her, but then he changes his mind and walks out the door. So I would change the button on that scene. The same thing, like I knew this wasn't going to work, and then have him behind her and just say, like in his Superman voice, right? Like Lois Lane or Miss Lane, whatever it is. She turns around and says, this is when he says, I love you. You know, and this is the moment where he says, even though you just treated me like that, I still love you. I understand that you're upset with me, and I understand what I did. Not everyone's going to agree with, and I understand that you don't agree with it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. But I love you. And then we realize that what she's saying when she says, this wasn't going to work, isn't because I'm mad at you or because we have disagreed. She does say she's bad at relationships, but I would feed that moment more with her saying something to the effect of like, I can't believe I just treated you that way.
Right.
I'm sorry. I can't help myself. And maybe this isn't even the scene to do that in. Maybe you do that in the next scene, the punk rock scene. But like you have her acknowledge, like, I do love you, Clark. I can't help myself. When I'm in reporter mode, I'm sorry. I crossed the line. And he goes, that's fine, Lois. Like, you're doing your job. And that's part of what I love about you is that you're relentless. Because what I want to see when I see Lois and Clark isn't a couple that never fights. I want to see a couple that loves each other through the fights. And they both fought and then walked away from each other.
Yeah.
And then he said, I love you. She didn't return it. And even by the end of the film, I don't know that she returned it. Did she say, I love you when they kissed at the end?
I think she does.
Okay.
I think she says, I love you too, or something.
But why? What's changed? Has she now opened up? So either one of two things changed. Either he acknowledged his fault and came around to her line of thinking, or she's accepted that he's not her and can make his own choices.
Yeah.
Or they are agreeing to disagree, right? Like, we just don't see eye to eye on this, whatever. It's fine. I still love you. Like, I don't know. Or maybe like she has that moment with Mr. Terrific where she says like, you know, I asked him all these questions, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And so clearly she's still thinking about it. Like, he says he loves me and, you know, whatever. And I don't even know what that means. And whatever she says, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what changed between that scene where she's like, I don't even know what that means. I don't know whatever it is. And then her kissing him. Yeah. Nothing changed for her emotionally. Nothing changed for her morally. Mentally, there was no realization that she had that would have spurred her to return the I love you. So that's why I think earlier in the film, in one of those two scenes, you have them both. Maybe he says it first in the first scene. She says it, returns it in the punk rock scene. But regardless, that has to happen early. So the I love you isn't a reward for him saving the day. And it isn't a lustful, I'm just turned on right now because you saved the day. You don't want it to come across that way.
Sure.
You want it to be, I respect you.
Yeah.
And both of them to each other. I respect you. We disagreed. Either we're going to agree to disagree or one of us is changing our mind because we've been persuaded. But the truth is we've worked through this disagreement. It's totally fine for them to disagree. But what I'm looking for is for them to love each other through it. And I didn't feel the love. And even when he says, I love you in the punk rock scene, he says it in a way that's tortured. He doesn't say it with a smile that says, you're ridiculous, but I love you. He says it like, I love you, Lois. And like, he's out one foot out the door and she's like, and then like, that's it. It doesn't come across as a reassuring thing. Yeah. And it can be that in that first scene, if she's like, this wasn't going to work. And we realize it's because she is ashamed of the way she just treated him. And he says, I love you anyway. That's a redemptive thing. That's encouraging to her.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't have to return it there, but she can return it later. But I think that's where I'm at with their relationship in this. Like, I also always go back to this. My grandmother, who did not like superhero films, didn't like that whole thing, loved Superman. And the reason she always loved Superman is because she loved Superman and Lois. And so, like, I remember watching the movies with her, and she was always glued to the screen when there's that moment where Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve are flying, and, you know, it's a little bit hokey by today's standards, but like, she's totally enamored with him because they're flying and all of this. And, you know, as much as Superman is a male power fantasy, it's also a female fantasy of like, I found the perfect man, right? And it's also a male fantasy. I found this perfect, strong, independent woman who supports me all the time, and loves Clark, even though everyone else loves Superman. Like, she saw Clark. Like, that's what everybody wants. Like, it's all fantasy. And this film didn't have that. So I think about my grandmother, and would she have latched on to this relationship in this version? And I think the answer is no. There's not enough meat there to prove their love for one another.
Okay, that's valid.
Lex Luthor is maybe the smartest man in the DC universe. I think they generally say it's between him and Mr. Terrific. They are the smartest people in the DC world.
Interesting.
They are, Lex Luthor should be portrayed as such. Now, his history of portrayal in film is not that. Now, granted, in 1978, I don't know that they had settled on that version, that billionaire businessman, which I think was more pulled from John Byrne's 80s comics. So they hadn't happened yet. So it gets a pass because the only Lex Luthor at that point was like mad scientist Lex Luthor. And that this gave us like real estate mogul Lex Luthor. And so it's fine, whatever. But beyond that, where the bulk of our superhero live action things came from was post 80s turn, where Lex Luthor is a billionaire businessman who's the smartest man on the planet. And yet we've never gotten that truly on screen. The closest we got was Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor in Smallville. And if you exclude Clancy Brown's fantastic Lex Luthor in the animated series, which is the ideal version. So to that end, Nicholas Hoult in this film, I have nothing against Nicholas Hoult. I think he does a fantastic job, but what he's given and the way he's directed, I think is too manic. I think there's too much emotion. The best scene in the film for Lex is there's a scene where Krypto's gone missing and Superman like busts open the door and throws Lex's desk, and Lex is just sitting there with his coffee, and he's like, "Are you getting this?" That's the best Lex, because that's the billionaire, you know, smartest man on earth Lex Luthor. I'm not even going to acknowledge you at this point. I'm just going to stand here and intimidate you by not talking. And
doesn't that bother you?
Doesn't that bother you? I see you're really worked up, Superman. You know, Lex Luthor to me is constantly like hands in pockets, arms folded, just like calm, and will stare at you until you cower in fear. That's Lex Luthor to me. He's so powerful, and he never gets his hands dirty until he does, until he's like pushed to it. Right. Until then, Lex is like behind the scenes. He's not even watching. He's like, there's nothing to tie me to the crime. There's nothing like you. I'm over here opening a hospital that I personally funded, and there's a big fight over here. How could I possibly have done that? Right. And he's constantly feeding the media with like, you know, everyone loves Lex. Like no one gets this the heebie-jeebies from Lex, unless he's like staring at you, and then he's so powerful you're intimidated. Lex is beyond the manic, emotional way he's written here, at least in my ideal version. So again, I'll take this back to the beginning. This isn't necessarily saying the film is bad because of this, but it is saying it hurt my enjoyment of the film. So this is me talking personally here. I will say, I was confused what level intellect this Lex Luthor had. He seemed to be surprised a lot, but he also seemed really smart because he was able to build a pocket dimension, and he was able to, be a expert tactician in Ultraman's fight with Superman. He was able to like call the number. Like, first of all, he's able to assess the fight and in real time call out code numbers fast enough for Ultraman to process those and do the thing. So clearly there's some intellect here. Yeah. And yet, betrayed by Eve Teschmacher, which anybody who's seen the original Christopher Reeve movie saw that coming, because in that movie, he's also betrayed by Eve Teschmacher. He is continually surprised when things don't quite happen the way he thought they would, right? Like, Superman has escaped from the pocket dimension. Oh, darn. How could that have happened? Yeah. It's like he's had no contingency plan. And really that second act, because I this will lead into that. I think that the second act is the big flaw of the film. This is the biggest flaw the film has. And this is the whole pocket dimension stuff. It's the, metamorpho, it's black hole, it's all of that. This is the weakest part of the film, because it's also the most obviously flawed that the Lex character is. Lex, who's a genius and has created a pocket universe, is using it to do petty things like keep his ex-girlfriends in, which does not feel intimidating.
Sure.
That feels petty.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like Lex to me.
Yeah.
Why would Lex care if some woman that he dated is now bad mouthing him? I don't care. Right. Yeah. I know that this version of Lex is very like sensitive on, making sure he's portrayed well, and like
it's like what Donald Trump would do with a pocket dimension. It's like all my enemies go here.
Yeah.
Big or small, everyone.
Yeah. Which maybe is fine, but like I don't know, it just feels a little extra petty. Which feels emotional.
Right.
Which doesn't feel like Lex.
Well, because then Lex is a genius. And
Lex is a genius. Why is he doing this?
On the other end of the spectrum is other people.
Right. So
right, but like if you had and the only suggestion there being like, is any part of Lex meant to be an allegory for a real world powerful person?
Possibly,
but it's not readable. Like I'm reading that into the film.
Sure.
And it's like, but it's probably not it. And even if it was, that's what better suited to someone like Maxwell Lord, who isn't the smartest man in the world, powerful billionaire, whatever person.
Yeah.
But
not
more easily manipulated and more egocentric than Lex, who I don't even think comes across egocentric. He comes across as extremely practical, principled almost. Yeah. Like in a way, like having metahumans is objectively bad for humanity, and no one can see this but me.
Yeah. Right. He's passionate about that. Yeah.
By any means necessary, I will take the steps needed to eradicate them, no matter how long it takes, no matter who I have to step over to do it.
Yep.
And,
it would have made more sense if that pocket universe was filled with other metahumans. This was a metahuman prison.
Right. Right.
But whatever.
Right. It's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. But ex-girlfriends and whatever else. It's flawed because the portal into the pocket universe is protected by a tent and not a heavily fortified, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's a tent.
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific just whips open some canvas and there it is.
Yeah.
not very secure, not very smart. Then he makes the fatal flaw that, supervillains make, which doesn't feel like Superman, which is, I'm going to put you in the room with an easily manipulated man.
Yeah, exactly.
And my whole plot is going to depend on that man being strong against you, but you're Superman.
Right. And we're going to kidnap his son. And there's
Who's
no
a very
way,
fake CGI looking baby.
There's no way that Superman will want to help you get your son back. And there's no way you'll deduce that that's absolutely your best bet to get your son back.
And I'll definitely keep the son really close to you and not in another pocket universe somewhere else where you can't get to him.
Were you to escape, your son is...
It's really easy for Superman to say, if you help me, I'll help your son. He's right there.
He's over. I don't even have to fly. I can probably jump over there.
Yeah, I'll just walk. I'll just take a casual stroll before
heal me a little bit.
Yeah. What? Yeah. And then he's surprised. And then another stupid thing that happens. So he's surprised by that. He's surprised. Then he has, this is a really chilling moment. He has the food cart guy that, had helped Superman earlier in the film. He has him and he's playing Russian roulette with him. Yeah. And he shoots and kills him. Mm-hmm. And Lex is like, oh, that didn't go as long as I thought. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that is weird for Lex to say out loud. Yeah. My immediate thought in the theater was the Russian roulette. It was going to be a fake bullet and he was going to fire it 5 times and make Superman squirm for 5 shots. Mm-hmm. And then on the 6th shot where it would shoot, he doesn't shoot it. And he goes, we'll try again tomorrow, and puts it away. And he knows he's going to shoot that thing all day long and it's never going to go off. But I'm going to try again tomorrow. Superman doesn't know that. So now Superman's got to sit with that all night long, that we're just going to do this again tomorrow. And tomorrow it could be shot number 1. Right. And so we got lucky today, but what about tomorrow? And then Lex is able to make that last. Yeah. It's not that Lex would be afraid to kill somebody, although I do think it's weird that Lex is doing it. Why wouldn't he make someone else do it so that he's just sitting there watching? Right.
Well, and he also says I'll just go find someone else close to you, someone else you love to kill. Maybe that Clark Kent guy, but that speaks to your what an idiot thing.
Yes. That's the exact next point I was going to say is this whole second act is about how dumb Lex is.
Wait a minute. I want to say one thing about Russian roulette, because you said your first thought was this,
it was fake and controlled.
Yes. My first thought was, they did this in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and it was much funnier and better because Robert Downey Jr.'s character is kind of an idiot in that movie.
Sure.
So for Lex Luthor to make the same mistake of just, where is she? Bang. Yep. Shit.
Oh, no.
What are the odds?
Yep.
Lex knows the odds. Hell, I know the odds,
Correct.
But
Lex is smarter than that.
Right. You're right.
And then dumber to be like, I'm gonna go get that Clark Kent guy.
Because that killed the tension. Because I was like, well, you're never gonna find him.
Okay. Big. Now, if he had said Lois Lane,
that's what I thought he was gonna say. Maybe that reporter you're always talking to. It's like Lois Lane.
Yes. Or imagine this. The whole scene plays out. You'd have to do something different with the canvas covering the most delicate thing in the world. But
listen, they wanted to hang out at the beach, Dustin.
I'm sure.
They wanted to go to the beach. And the beach isn't zoned for fortresses, but they'll let you put a tent up.
Okay, sure. The Baravian leader gets it behind this painting. It's like a super secret thing.
Sure.
And Lex's is just on a beach. It's not in his mansion, his home or his office.
It's not like an island he owns privately.
Yeah. It's just at a public beach. There's a dude playing Frisbee outside the tent.
It's like in Panama City.
Yeah. Well, this is stupid. Imagine the scene plays out where Lex has Superman. He puts him in in the thing, and he like stops and he like looks and he gets like super close to Superman as Superman's like, you know, writhing in pain, and he goes, Clark Kent. And then Clark's like, what? And he's like, you're Clark Kent. I don't know why I never saw it before. You're Clark Kent. And, you know, and he knows it now. And he goes, okay, well, I'm going to go after Ma and Pa Kent. I'm going to go after like, and all of that is like, imagine the film plays out so much differently now that he knows Superman is Clark.
Yeah.
And he knows it because he just is smart and sees it. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. Like that's the only way the scene would have worked.
Sure. But the wrong way was for him to be like, maybe I'll go find Clark Kent, because even if Lex is a regular person, like forget the genius part. Yeah. We know that he's Clark Kent. And so saying that dissolves tension.
Correct.
And that's just a bad story move to dissolve tension where it shouldn't be dissolved.
Correct. And let me throw this on for size. If Lex wants like the adoration that Superman has, if that's what he's after, why not do the syndrome thing and cause that split to happen? And then Lex, who has the code to fix it, fixes it. And then everyone's like, oh, Lex is a hero. And then he's like, yay. He has the pocket universe, empties it out, puts Superman in the pocket universe, exits the pocket universe, destroys all the portals.
Yeah, right.
Now Superman's stuck in the pocket universe to starve.
Yeah.
And die.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
It's the easiest thing. It's like, I'll just trap him somewhere and then I'll destroy all the exits and that's it. Maybe I'll even, I don't know. I'll flip a coin. Do I just leave him in there to starve, or do I begin a sequence that destroys the pocket? Should I make the pocket universe shrink very slightly every single day? Yeah.
Or he's like, hey, that black hole's growing. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poof, you know? Yeah. And like now the entrances and exits are all sealed. And, and then what you do is you have Mr. Terrific, like he finds the rubble of the entrance and goes, this was a pocket universe portal. Let me see if I can rebuild it. Yeah. And then you show his intellect by having him replicate the thing that Lex broke and save Superman in that way. And then Superman has a moment, like an honest moment with Mr. Terrific, where he gives him a handshake and says, great job. I appreciate you, and Mr. Terrific's like, it's a pleasure working for you, Superman. And then there's mutual respect. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not saying I know how to fix this movie. I'm just saying.
You've listed several things that would have made it better, Dustin.
I'm just saying I would have responded to that better.
You know what
I don't know if everyone else would have.
Here's what I didn't like. I never like powers being strangely used. I don't like it that his ice breath saved him from a black hole.
Yeah, it's strange.
There's not much propulsive about the ice breath to me. And
not enough.
Like, you could convince me that Superman could fly out of a black hole.
Sure.
There's nothing that...
Because the flight doesn't make sense anyway.
Right. It's like, but Superman could do it. Like, with Iron Man, it's like, this is a machine. Like, it can't resist a black hole, surely. And, explain some doohickey that's in the boots and that's fine. But like, Superman could probably just fly out.
Yeah, sure.
But instead, it's like, ice breath. It's like, ice breath that's like 10-mile-an-hour wind. It's not, it's more than like a heavy sneeze for me.
Sure.
But it's not like escape from a black hole types of, this is physics. Come on now. Like,
do you realize the amount of propulsion that would have to happen out of an orifice this big in order to send, a 6'4" buff man flying back out of a black hole?
Yeah.
That's a lot of air.
That's also to suggest that Superman could have farted and escaped the black hole the exact same way. Escapes the black hole with his hole. Another thing.
Or what about clap and like send him? Yeah, sure. Do the Hulk thing.
But the thing at that point, it's just like, well, then even if you said, well, the ice breath, like it is really strong, then it's like, well, then why would it even be ice breath? If he can escape a black hole with the ice breath, shouldn't you just blow on every enemy he has and just rip them off?
Sure.
With it? You just give us a gentle breeze and their fucking skin rips off. Their bones collapse. Get everyone out here looking like Dr. Phosphorus.
Yeah, literally. I know where Superman went.
You
just follow the trail of entrails.
Like in Deadpool 3 when Cassandra just rips off the skin of Johnny Storm's skin.
Yes.
Superman just does that by just a pile of bones.
Even worse, it happens when he's Clark Kent and he just laughs.
Yeah.
Oh, the entire Daily Planet bullpen is dead.
Someone told Veronica had a very funny joke today. And that's the thing, like
it just cuts to the inside of the Daily Planet. This is a Family Guy cutaway. It's the inside of the Daily Planet, and it's like, that's not a pig. That's my in-laws.
Yeah.
Everyone's dead.
Building explodes. But that's the thing, like, then there's no point of being ice breath. You would just call it super breath.
Well,
you know?
I didn't want to correct you, but there is super breath and ice breath. He's able to do both.
But that looked like his ice breath.
Sure.
Okay. Well, the jokes are all still funny, but yeah, you're right. Okay. Super breath. But again,
he has both.
When you can fly the way you do, surely that's a better option than super breath.
Correct.
Although I know he's stuck in a river, but I don't know. It's just
but see, even that was like the river thing was so manufactured to me.
That gave me Discovery Zone PTSD being stuck in the bowl pit.
Sure.
I was like, God damn, he's never getting out of there.
Well, and
I've been there.
And I love like they literally like Lois and Mr. Terrific like lean in and Mr. Terrific goes, Proton River. And I'm like, you can identify that? Like, okay. Yeah. I guess you're super smart, but okay, you're smarter than Lex. Apparently,
how many of these have you seen?
Yeah, but this whole thing is theoretical, and then he's like, he says something like, "If we fall in, we'd be dead in seconds."
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, well, so then I get that Superman is able to live in it for a minute, but like, there's also no pain. That whole section didn't work for me. There's that weird, like, ugly monster driving the thing that Lex Luthor's on, and I'm like, this feels like Guardians of the Galaxy and Power Rangers. It doesn't feel like Superman. And like, I love a cosmic Superman, but it felt so disjointed that like everything thus far had been fairly grounded. I mean, yes, there's a kaiju, but like everything had felt fairly grounded. And then suddenly we're talking about proton rivers and black holes and pocket universes. Mm-hmm. Then the distaste of like Lex's dumbness. And like, I don't know, it just felt so strange to me. And then like, and then add to that the two other things that felt too goofy for me to take Lex as intimidating. Oh, how do you distract a super dog? Squirrels? And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's a fine joke, but not from Lex Luthor. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's like the Flash does that to entertain Crypto. Like, if the Flash was babysitting Crypto and Superman comes back and goes, oh, what'd y'all do this weekend? Yeah. And the Flash is just like, hands behind his head, like relaxing.
Eating a hamburger.
Like, it's like, I thought you were going to take Crypto on a walk. Oh, he's been walking the whole weekend. And it's just like, squirrel videos. Okay, that's fine. It's a fair joke. But not for Lex, it's for Wally. But then you think about like the dumb joke of like the monkeys that were hashtagging. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't even take Lex seriously because like this was easier than just hiring a bunch of people. You had to go train. You had to build a way. You had to like build and test a way to control or like give artificial intelligence to these monkeys. Yeah. Then you had to go collect the monkeys. Then you had to put the monkeys there and do the thing.
Build their desks.
Why not just put in a classified ad? People needed to live in pocket dimension. Minimum wage.
Yeah. Do you like being a troll on the internet?
Right.
Yeah.
And then it could actually have been kind of a more funny joke if it was like just a bunch of like neck beards doing it, you know? You know what I mean?
Somebody online was like, every time I see someone shit posting the Superman movie, I just think of one of Lex's chimps.
Yeah. But all of that, like all in like such a small time
short
frame.
Amount of time.
Then I'm like,
you're like a health inspector, Dustin. You walked in and you're like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Hold on.
Whoa.
I know the whole point is that that you don't expect me, but I'm just going to take a step out and give you 10 minutes and I'm coming back in. This better be completely different.
Spick and span.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, it was just so much. My brain was like, I am checking out of all of this.
I'm literally picturing you walking through this pocket dimension with a clipboard going, just taking furious notes.
This is not going to work.
These doors, the chimps, what's with this revolver? Why'd you put him in the same cell? You shouldn't do that.
You put the sun right across from him?
Put the sun over there. Put him in that thing.
Just tell him you have the sun. You don't even have to have the sun. Just tell him you have the sun. Like, this whole thing, I don't know. Okay, whatever. I had notes about like crypto and all this other stuff, but like the only other thing is the world building, right? I'm not going to nitpick this because this is not like a detriment of the film. This is me as a fan now imparting, and maybe that's what the last section was. This is me imparting, like, as a fan, this is what I would have liked to have seen. So we know that Oa exists because Green Lantern mentions that he took an oath, right? So, and there's a Green Lantern at all.
Should have worn my Oa shirt.
Yeah, there you go. So we know that Oa exists.
Yeah.
I'm curious if this Superman has ever been off Earth. Or if he's only ever been on Earth. I would like to know that answer.
Seems like he would be because of Kara returning from presumably off-world.
Presumably.
It'd be, it would have been, I mean, not that they needed to do this, but it would have been nice to just at least include, like, you should leave this planet sometime. There's a lot of fun stuff to do,
Yeah, right.
Like, just imply, like, oh, he's probably never left.
Yeah.
Which I would believe.
I'd believe it. Yeah, that's fine. Or even if Green Lantern said something like, you
need to get out more.
Yeah, right. Clark mentions, and the only reason I bring it up too is because Clark mentions when he's talking to the Justice Gang, he's like, no, I didn't want to kill the kaiju. I didn't want to kill this thing. I was thinking more like an intergalactic zoo. Yeah. I'm like, so do you know of one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you just assuming they exist?
Such as?
Yeah. Well, I'm like, is that I think it's a reference to Superman, the animated series, because Superman had an intergalactic zoo in the Fortress of Solitude.
Oh.
So I'm like, so do you have one?
Do you have,
do you have one, or have you found one off Earth? Anyway, where do the robots come from? Did Superman build them? Did they come with the fortress?
Right.
I would like to know that answer.
Yeah. Did they come with the pod?
Right. Yeah.
Like, did they, you know what I mean?
I have no idea.
If they didn't come with the pod, did the Kents know about them? How did the Kents convince them to leave the baby with them?
Yeah.
Was that their mission all the whole time?
I'm okay with believing that all of the robots were built by one robot.
Uh-huh.
But I need to know where that robot came from.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, and I think they would have been a really cool bit of world building had Mr. Terrific built those robots.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, Mr. Terrific, within the confines of this film, it would have made sense for him.
Yep.
I
think that would have been
him. Just like one of his first comments, be like, "Still, like, how the robots?" Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're
terrific.
And like,
thank you so much.
It would have fed the idea of like, how do the Justice Gang and Superman, like, how tight are they? Do they? Because like, obviously Superman trusted them to fight the imp while he was like having hot cocoa with Lois. Mm-hmm. So like, there's trust there.
Yeah.
But it also feels like they don't really know each other. So I don't know, like, I want to know more about their relationship. Like, I wanted to see like a scene with Green Lantern and Superman only to see how they interact. I wanted to see a scene with like Hawk Girl and Superman. How do they interact? Mm-hmm. Like, what does she think about him? What does he think about her? Like, you're too violent. Like, just a moment, like just something. And so, yeah, I think that having a moment where like, he's like, how are the robots I built for you? As on the nose as that is, I would have loved to have seen like that they're old friends. They've been friends for a while. He built these robots for him. I think that would have been cool. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been cool to mention, because you have to assume that people don't know this, that Lois is maybe able to fly Mr. Terrific's T-Sphere ship or whatever that's called, because she has a pilot's license, because her dad's an Army general and like she grew up on bases and like whatever. I think that would have been a cool added detail to her character. Again, not faulting the movie for it, but I would have loved to have seen it.
Yeah.
Costs
nothing.
It costs nothing. Yeah. I think the Supergirl introduction left me feeling a little sour because of like, I understand, like I'm okay with her being like a little bit of a party girl because she's been through some trauma. Like I get it. And I think that's where they're going with it. There's a run called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which I think was the building blocks for the film that she's doing. And that run, she is traumatized. And so she is a little bit more of like a partier and drinker because she's trying to soothe some pain. Yeah. But I do think it's weird the way that she interacts with Superman. Like she doesn't call him Cal. She doesn't really like treat him like he's her last, connection to her home planet.
Right.
You would think there would be some sort of, I don't know, respect there. Well, I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like, I would have liked to have seen something like that. Also, I did have an immediate question, which is like, if Kara was an adult when she left, or a teenager when she left Krypton, was she aware that they were supposed to conquer? And if so, did she not tell Clark?
Right.
And wouldn't Clark have been like, Kara, did you know this?
Yeah. And
then it would have been funny if he was like, hey, I found out that Jor-El sent me here to kill people. Is that true? And she's like, oh yeah. He was weird.
Yeah.
Uncle Jor was weird. You know, okay, that would have been cool. Like that's cool world building, whatever. I don't know, whatever. I don't want to get into all the Justice Gang stuff because like most of it worked, but like, I do want to know more about them. I think there's more room there for world building. I think it would have been cool to have like a scene on Oa where they send Guy Gardner back to Earth. I don't know. Like there's just all these little things they could have done if they were really, because you're trying to launch a cinematic universe, right? Yeah. You want to build out that world as much as possible. Because you can do it one of two ways. You can build out the world as much as possible or make a totally self-contained Superman story like Iron Man was, that just like Iron Man happened and then like Nick Fury shows up at the end to hint at something bigger. So either way is fine. But because they were going the other way, I think that's fine. But I wish they had gone like full bore with it.
Further, yeah.
And like, okay, maybe it would have added an extra 45 minutes to the movie. That would have been too long, but like it could have added something to like show us Oa and like Green Lantern Homeworld, Oa, Guy Gardner's there, and you've got the Lantern show coming up. So like, you can have a cameo by Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre and like whatever. And I don't know, like just little things like that, or, a little more with Kendra would have been great to get to know her a little better. The film's a little overstuffed with characters, but it didn't explore them enough, which is why it feels overstuffed. It feels weird to say like, give me more of them, because that sounds like I'm saying stuff it more. Yeah. But if you're going to have a big ensemble cast, give them all something to do and help us get to know them and be excited for what's coming with them, I think would have been the way to go. And then I sent you this thing on Instagram, I guess it was yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Nathan Fillion had said about Lanterns, like, I dropped more F-bombs in that than I have in my whole career. My initial reaction to that was like, great, another thing that kids can't enjoy. And that is a weird thing that the DC universe is going to have to contend with that Marvel didn't.
Yeah.
which is with Marvel, they aimed for that PG-13 for everything. And only with Deadpool did they branch off.
Right.
But everything else felt samey. So like if your child was old enough to like and be okay with Iron Man, they were going to do okay with Captain America, and they're going to do okay with Thor, and they're going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With this, you take your child to see Superman, and they may be totally fine with it.
Yeah.
But Lanterns may be a completely different story, and that feels weird to do it that way, because now there's inherently a section of the universe that's locked off to kids. Or to a demographic. And that feels weird, because inevitably Lanterns will be important, because I'm imagining at least Jon Stewart's going to carry forward.
Yeah.
So we're all kids are going to miss that. And that sucks.
And I know their justification for this. One of the things that James Gunn wants to do that he implies that Marvel, and we all know it, doesn't do, is he wanted filmmakers to have more free reign at DC. He wanted filmmakers to be able to put their stamp on things, which meant like playing around with the ratings or the content of the things and whatnot. And that's good and noble. And I expect nothing less from an artist.
Yeah.
But I do expect more from a CEO of an entertainment studio.
Sure.
Which is what he is, because that person would understand or give lots of consideration to the fact that, but the audience needs to be able to see all of this. And even if you tell yourself you're making these films for adults, you're not, at least not exclusively. Like there's no way in hell we're going to make a Superman movie that families can't see. You know, so as an adult, I'm fine with it, because whatever.
Yeah. I don't care.
But you're right. But if I were to show these to my kids, well, I mean, like my daughter saw this one. If she somehow saw the trailer for Lanterns and was like, Daddy, can we see that? I'd be like, nope.
Yeah.
Not now. And my kids are just now starting like the Marvel films. And I mean, I'm not even in Marvel Studios yet with those, and so like those are PG-13, but I think they're fine for my kids.
Yep.
But like, I couldn't drop my daughter into like Deadpool or even like Ironheart yet, because the language is a little too explicit for kids versus violence or, high emotional stakes or complicated human interactions. But by the time we get to those things, my kids will then be old enough.
Correct.
And so that's what Marvel did right, was they didn't mix any of that in until they got to the point where they were under scrutiny for not doing so. And the audience has aged enough to where they can say, it's fine. Because if you're this far through the canon, you should have, you've slow ramped up to this. You've had people randomly saying more curse words or pushing the envelope a little more. So by the time you get to like something like Ironheart or Deadpool, I mean, Deadpool's an example in of itself, but like it's been a frog boiling situation. Yes. But this is a whole new universe. Superman is the beginning point, and you're already fracturing who can see it.
Well, and 100% agree. And the marketing for Superman, I literally was talking about this the other day, that one of the telltale signs of like how they're positioning this Superman movie is that the marketing is centering around kids. So they're doing like kids commercials, like for toys. But also I saw a commercial the other day. I don't even remember what it was for, but it was a Superman, product or whatever. And it started with like this little kid, like laying in the grass with their dog, and then like going and putting on a towel and like, pretending to be Superman. And I'm like, so they're like going kid forward with this, which is great, because like I discovered these characters when I was a kid, and that's why I love them. It
is one of the good business decisions to make superhero films, is the audience is broad and it starts early. And if you do it right, you're actually teaching them good moral lessons while selling millions of toys.
Exactly. And that's great, because like kids will see the Superman, and there's really nothing in this Superman that's like objectionable really for them to see. There's going to be a movie in a little bit where Superman and Jon Stewart meet each other. And there's a whole story presumably, of how Jon Stewart got that ring and where he came from and who he is. And those kids that enjoyed Superman, 5 years ago may still be too young to see that. Mm-hmm. And because inevitably, I'm sure it'll be TVMA and, parents will feel some kind of way about letting their kids watch it.
Yeah.
So, okay, they can't see the introduction of an important character. And like, that's a character that's super important because like Jon Stewart is, I don't know, I say he's important. That's my vote because I loved him on Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. And like that character really, colored my perspective of the Green Lantern.
Yeah, he's always been my Green Lantern.
My Green Lantern.
Whenever they made the Ryan Reynolds movie, I remember asking like, who the fuck is Hal Jordan?
Yeah, no, I know who he is, but like everything I've ever sought out about the Green Lantern has been Jon Stewart.
I remember when I became aware of the Daily Show, I was like, that's weird that guy's name is Jon Stewart because the
Green Lantern hostess.
The first Jon Stewart I knew was the Green Lantern.
Green Lantern
is that Phil Lamar?
Yeah, it's Phil Lamar.
Yeah. So
it's deep voiced.
Yeah,
Phil Lamar.
I don't know if we could do that, Superman.
Yeah, and it's fantastic, and I'm so looking forward to that character's introduction in live action. It'll be his first time in live action.
Yeah.
So for me,
way overdue.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah,
but like, it sucks to think that my son, who's 3, is going to have to wait a lot of years to see that.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'll be showing him Justice League Unlimited and going like, isn't this character cool?
Yeah.
And he'll go, Dad, can I see him in live action?
Yeah.
And I'll go, yes, when there's a Justice League film that's PG-13.
Right. Because that's the thing. Like my kids see stuff on like my Fire Stick home screen that looks cool. And I'm like, I can't show you that.
Yeah.
I can't show you that. It's we can't watch that.
Yes. And what a great, like, Jon Stewart's such a great positive character in terms of like, being representative of Black Americans who are super powered and like he's a great character in and of himself. And like, it just makes sense. Like, why wouldn't we be fast tracking a Jon Stewart film and asking for young boys to see that?
Yeah.
Like come to the theater, see a
strong black man,
a strong black man who is 100% like ethical and it's not like Shaft, who's strong black but kind of a little morally gray, gray, or like Blade, right? I'm thinking like Blade, right? But like, this is like
a good man. Also,
this is like a really good, positive person.
Yep.
And it's good for young black boys to see, but it's also good for just anyone to see.
Yeah.
And like, I think of like my son and I'm like, I want him to see all types of people represented and understand that anybody can be super. And like the fact that he has to wait sucks.
Yeah. The fact that they're probably going to give him a line in the show that's like, Superman came in fast as a motherfucker.
Maybe
just arbitrarily, you know what I mean?
Maybe
like
just Guy Gardner, but then you also have to explain that, like, why does Guy Gardner bite his tongue sometimes and other times not?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Although at least in that way, like you can explain to your kids, like the one character who swears a lot is a asshole. Like he is a bad person. Is not a nice person.
And I guess you could explain it away like, oh well, he watches his mouth around Superman. Like maybe Superman's like, don't use that language. Yeah.
It would imply that he respects him, which is the whole problem that you're talking about. Is like there's it's like a lot of things about this that I think, not all of it, some of it's irreversible, but some of this can and probably will be addressed in other things. But as we always say, there was an opportunity to lay out some groundwork here, and it's in this self-contained film, and it wasn't done. Like you can retcon Lex Luthor's intellect and make him smarter next time, but there will never be a time where he wasn't stupid with this pocket universe.
Yeah.
But like with Guy Gardner, like you could say later, like, oh, this is why I don't talk this way around Superman. Like I actually really love the guy, but don't tell him I said that. You know, like have he doesn't have to tell Superman he respects him, but he can tell someone else like, oh, I fucking love Superman. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I freaking sorry. Fucking swear shit.
All it is like a quick shot where he takes a character back to his apartment or something, and there's like a ton of like Superman memorabilia out, and he's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, putting it in drawers, like, oh man,
yeah, he's like Flash Thompson. He's like, I actually really love Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I'm a
exactly.
huge Spider-Man fan.
Yeah. You have Kyle Chandler be like, big Superman guy, and he's like, no.
Just casually, I buy some of his merch.
I bought this ironically, you know.
I was in an FYE and I found this poster. Like I said, there is merit in having these worlds established versus the Marvel model. I mean, I said this way back with the Zack Snyder stuff and the whole Justice League stuff. Like, there is merit in skipping origin stories at this point, because then you're just going to be playing catch up. You're going to be forever playing catch up to a studio that's 20 years ahead of you, 15 years ahead of you. But also, like James Gunn, I think, pointed out, like, one reason, obviously, that we do it this way is because not only for the repetitive nature of, repeated origin stories, but also like because it's not until like the third or fourth film that you start intermixing people, and that's not satisfying. And then the actors are too old, and there's a ton of reasons why no one wants to wait that long to see characters meet or interact or team up. Yeah. And so like, DC has plenty of reasons to do it the way they're doing it that are mostly good. And the only thing is like, yeah, but you still need to say something like, as your brother, I'm, just those obvious. Yeah, it's a little obvious, but like just very quick exposition. Like, it's too late for you and me, Dustin, to not notice that kind of dialogue, but most people don't mind it. Right. We're a lost cause, but I see it and I'm like, there's the exposition. I watch movies. I'm just like, or the news report, like, you haven't left this house since mom died. And I'm like, there's the setup. I'm just like checking the list. Like, they've got all the things, but I'm not excited.
Correct. I know the information.
I'm so dead inside watching movies now.
Yeah. Well, my case in point, anytime somebody brings up like, no, you have to do solo films, you have to do whatever before you bring everybody together. I'm like, nope, you don't. And here's the answer. Yeah. The Fellowship of the Ring introduces a ton of characters all at once. Yeah. And you start with your main character, Frodo. Yep. You slowly expand by having him interact with Gandalf. Yep. Then Sam. Then Merry and Pippin. Then they end up at Rivendell and they meet everybody else. Yep. And yes, some of them don't get a lot, right? Like, you don't get to know a lot about Legolas, right? But you get to know a whole lot about basically everybody else. Yes. And you know enough about Legolas to go, every time he's on screen. Yeah. Yeah. And that's all you need for some of these characters. So if they had like walked in, like, I think they could have done 7 Justice League characters in this film. Yeah. If one, the runtime supported fleshing them all out the way that the runtime of Fellowship of the Ring supported that. Yeah. But also they could have done it. You just take the Fellowship of the Ring model and say, okay, let me create a scenario in which these characters get introduced, the backstory comes out quickly. And in the Fellowship of the Ring, it happens very organically. It's not super exposition-y, but like, you get very quick knowledge of like who everybody is and what their feeling is about each other. From scene 1 that there's probably going to be some rivalry between Gimli and Legolas, from scene 1 that like Boromir and Aragorn are kind of, at odds, but like, there's respect there, but whatever. And like Legolas or Aragorn's like running from something. Like, you get a ton of stuff all in this very short time frame, but it's enough to love it. So like, if Superman had walked into the headquarters of Maxwell Lord and there were those 3 people sitting there with Metamorpho, like, so 4, plus, Wonder Woman and a Flash, I would have been okay with it because it's been done in film before where that's satisfying. And, you just pick which one gets the Legolas treatment. Oh,
yeah.
Metamorpho, and everyone else gets some solid stuff to do. And like, you're totally fine. Like, that's great.
Especially if you're making these things like they do, or that they've surely planned out. They have like a big old framework. Whereas like other people in that position have been like, well, first this film has to make money, and then we're going to do it. And it's like, this is already like, we're making these movies, like it's going to happen. So there's no doubt, like you have the flexibility and you have the authority to seed those things.
Yeah. There's also not a way in the world, like if I had been calling the shots on this, if they had said, Dustin, write it, there's not a way in the world that I would have said, okay, what is our next film? In this case, it's Supergirl, so they include Supergirl. But I would have said, like, what's beyond that? Lanterns? Cool. I'm definitely including some of that.
Yeah.
What's after that? Batman? Well, then I got to have something. Yeah. Right? Like seed all of that in as best you can. Yeah. And make it feel like a lived-in world with all of these things, so that then when you do branch off, there's something to support it. Yeah. But like, I don't know why. On one hand, I applaud James Gunn for the restraint, but at the same time, I would have loved to have just gone ahead and jumped in and said, all right, here's our Batman. Yeah. Here's our Wonder Woman, whatever. And had the two of them show up at the end to Clark and say, like, listen, we're doing something. Do you want to be a part of it? And that's fine. It's Nick Fury-ish, but like, whatever. I would have been okay with it. Like, tease that there's something coming, and the film didn't really tease anything beyond like Supergirl, but that felt more like a cameo than a tease. Yes. If you think about Nick Fury, that was not a cameo. That was an invitation to a larger world. Yes. And I didn't see that here. I don't dislike this film. And it does what it does well. It isn't my ideal version. And maybe everything I've said tonight is just me saying, like, I would have responded better to this film had it had these elements. And dear listener, you're out there probably going like, I liked it well enough. Totally fine. Totally valid. Like, the great thing about these characters and Marvel's characters is that they've been reinterpreted 8 million times. Yeah. And each interpretation is valid. Like I've said before, it's so weird that you can have simultaneously like a dark and gritty Robert Pattinson Batman, and also like some like schlocky 70s type Batman that's like palling around with Green Arrow and the Flash and whatever. And that's totally fine. And he's, being all goofy and whatnot on TV. That's totally fine. Like, you can do both of those things, and both are valid interpretations of that character. You can go campy, you can go serious. Superman's the same way. You can go campy, you can go serious, you can do all that. What you can't do is go pessimistic. You can't go ultra violent. You can't make Superman anything other or less than the symbol of hope that he is. And the film didn't, and that's great. It's a valid interpretation. It's not my ideal, but it's a valid interpretation. So I'm glad if you love it, if you love this film and you've listened to me ramble for 2 hours and said like, this guy's full of crap, totally fine. This is what would have made my geek heart soar, is if I had seen all of these elements, the love between Superman and Lois, the respect that the world has for Superman and the authority that Superman has, give me that dad energy, a calm and calculated Lex Luthor rather than a emotionally volatile one. And I think we would have had something that would have really spoken to me. And maybe it wouldn't for you, and that's fine. But all that to say, I do think this is a valid and good interpretation and a great starting point for the DCU. And so I hope that moving forward, everything coalesces into something really great and beautiful. And I'd love to see this Superman, and David Cornsweet in particular as Superman, take the reins, own the Justice League, lead it, and become that character that we know he is. That's like what I want from Superman is at least once per movie to get goosebumps and go like, look at that dude, like flying, you know what I mean? That's majestic as crap. Yeah. And like, I need that. And I need to see other characters that I think are cool looking at that going, holy crap.
Yeah.
And that's, that's how you build your universe. And I think this can still do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot left. There's a lot left to do. So
yeah, for sure.
We'll see how they execute it. Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah,
looking forward to Lanterns.
I still think, yeah. Looking forward to Lanterns. I mean, and we'll just see how the rest of this stuff goes. And won't know until we've seen a few more things how it's shaping up overall.
Yeah, I hope Supergirl's good.
Yeah, I hope it's good too. Yeah, I don't know.
I know it's going to be cosmic, so that's cool.
That is cool.
Maybe we'll see Oa.
Maybe we'll see Oa, and you'll go there and ride the water slides and and the roller coasters and on Oa.
Yeah, that's where Supergirl is.
She's in Gulf Shores,
getting drunk in Gulf Shores.
Yeah, getting drunk and riding that roller coaster. All right, that's it, everybody. That's Superman.
Yeah.
Up and away from this podcast.